Welcome to Franchise Marketing Radio, brought to you by SeoSamba. Comprehensive high-performing marketing solutions for mature and emerging franchise brands. To supercharge your franchise marketing, go to SeoSamba.com. That's SeoSamba.com.
Lee Cantor here, another episode of Franchise Marketing Radio, and this is going to be a good one. Today we have with us Adam Long with HomeTeam Inspection Service. Welcome, Adam.
Thanks for having me, Lee.
Well, I'm excited to learn what you're up to. Tell us a little bit about HomeTeam. How are you serving folks?
So HomeTeam is a full-service home inspection company. So we specialize in whole house inspections during the real estate transaction, but we also offer anything from radon inspections to mold inspections to a myriad of environmental tests. And of course, from the name, you can probably tell, we bring a team of inspectors, and that's what sets us apart in the industry.
So now, typically, if a person's not using you, an inspector is one person. It's like kind of a one-man band type thing.
It's exactly true. Most home inspectors are going to come by themselves, so they're going to perform the inspection in about a 3 to 4 hour time frame.
And so this one inspector is supposed to know plumbing, electrical, foundation. They're supposed to be experts in all of those things. That
is definitely what the home inspector should be if he's coming out by himself.
And then that's a point of differentiation between you and HomeTeam and that kind of mom and pop guy.
Yes. So the unique two inspector team approach basically not only increases the speed and the efficiency of the inspection, but also the quality of the final inspection report, because you do have two sets of eyes during the inspection process, and you do have two or more individuals, depending on what ancillary services a home buyer might purchase, to basically look through that home and ensure that they're getting a comprehensive home inspection.
So now, how does it work for the consumer? Is that something the consumer kind of says, hey, I'd like HomeTeam to be the inspector, or is this something the real estate agent brings to the table? Like, how does that transaction work?
It's a great question. So it's kind of a collaborative effort. Most real estate agents have home inspection companies that they're going to refer to their client. They may refer one home inspection company. They may refer several different home inspection companies that they recommend. The client's going to make the final decision, but the real estate agent is very important during that decision process with the home inspector, because as that home inspection process is only during about a 7-day contingency window, it's important to not only make sure that you have a home inspector that can come out and get the home inspection done in the time allotted, but it's also very important to both the client and the agent that home inspector is professional, basically sends that report out to the client and the agent in a quick manner, and make sure that home purchase process continues and is not held up by the home inspection.
So now, what was the genesis of this concept, this franchise?
So nearly 30 years ago, the founder of our company, Paul Spires, was in the real estate industry, and he basically was talking to realtors about the home inspection process and what they were looking for. And one of the main things that came back was the amount of time that it takes on the inspection. Some other secondary aspects were that home inspectors, back in the 90s, were not very professional. The reports weren't very professional, and they really didn't have high expectations for inspectors. So he determined to take the advice that these realtors gave him and come up with a new type of home inspection. And the concept of HomeTeam basically came from those conversations. And so HomeTeam not only brought the team concept, which equated to a quicker inspection and a faster turnaround for the home inspection report, but it also brought professionalism to a very unprofessional industry back then. In fact, just a quick story, when HomeTeam was first founded 30 years ago, the home inspectors actually wore ties. And the reason that the home inspector wore ties at the time was to set themselves as a part of a professional industry. Real estate professionals wore ties, bankers wore ties. So the HomeTeam original home inspection franchises wore ties as well. And it was to make sure that the clients and the realtors realized that they were getting a professional home inspection.
Now, in the market today with the pandemic, has that impacted home buying at all, or are things more on hold, or is there kind of a a demand of people ready to downsize and move maybe to different places?
That's a great question. So as you can imagine, when the COVID pandemic first hit, the industry was definitely looking to the real estate industry to see, what are the next steps. And HomeTeam was very thoughtful in its processes in that it immediately reached out to the franchises in over 40 states and several of our real estate partners to determine what our best, plan and strategy was. And we realized pretty quickly that the real estate transactions needed to continue. People still needed to buy homes and people still needed to sell homes. And so even though there was some initial concern, pretty quickly there was a realization that the home inspection process can continue even with the COVID restrictions. And so we worked with our franchise owners to make sure that they had the proper protective gear, to make sure that they could do walkthroughs and other aspects of the home inspection via Zoom and other online meetings, and basically worked with realtors to make sure that we could still meet the needs of these home buyers. And as you've seen with the real estate industry, it's really started to really boom over the last 12 months, even with COVID. And a big part of that is a lot of consumers are looking to expand into larger homes with more square footage so that they can do their Zoom meetings and work from home. And some people are leaving bigger cities and looking for suburban areas. And so because of that, it's continued a very strong real estate market that started at the beginning of 2020. And HomeTeam has definitely taken advantage of that and ensured that our franchisees are meeting those real estate needs.
Now, to be a home inspector, is that something you need some training or certification for, or is that something that anybody can say, hey, I'm a home inspector?
No, it's a good question. It's actually very state specific. So there are some states that do not require a home inspection license, meaning that someone actually could be a home inspector just because they decided to be a home inspector. And then there's certain states that have very detailed requirements regarding license. And with HomeTeam, we work with all states to ensure that all licensing aspects are fulfilled by not only our franchise owners, but by our home inspectors as well. But in the states that do not require licensing, we still require our new franchises to pass the National Home Inspectors exam. We still expect them to go through the rigorous process of HomeTeam home inspection training to ensure that they're bringing the same product to states that are unregulated and unlicensed as the states that are regulated and are licensed.
And that sounds to me as a kind of a point of differentiation and a reason to choose HomeTeam rather than a mom and pop, because you're protecting that whole brand. So the level of quality has to kind of be there no matter where they are, whether the state has the rule or not.
That's a great point. Because the home inspection industry as a whole is very fragmented, and because much of it is part-time home inspectors and home inspectors that may not be licensed or properly insured, it's important that HomeTeam, explains to real estate professionals, which mostly know this, but especially to clients, that HomeTeam is bringing that differentiator. You're going to make sure that we stand behind our brand and that the home inspectors that come to your house are going to show up in a marked vehicle. They're going to have the proper tools, the proper training, the proper insurance, and they're going to ensure that your client gets a home inspection that they can utilize during that sales transaction, rather than, unfortunately, much of the competition out there that may not have those insurance, may not have those professional aspects, and may not be as capable as a home inspector that's been trained through the HomeTeam process.
Yeah, and I would imagine that during the pandemic, that was really crystal clear because you were able to put kind of safety protocols in effect system-wide pretty quickly. You're able to, do the inspection faster, so there's less kind of danger from that standpoint. So it really probably showed a lot. This pandemic probably, what they say, like when the tide goes down, you see who's not wearing their bathing suit. It was probably pretty obvious that you guys had your act together a lot better than those mom and pops.
Yes, as unfortunate as the COVID pandemic has been, it really was an opportunity for HomeTeam to shine. I believe that it allowed our franchises to really focus in on what they bring to the inspection, both to the real estate agents and to the clients alike. Because as a franchisor, we were able to work with our franchisees to ensure that they had that proper protection equipment, that they had the technology that they needed to do the inspection. And so where your independent home inspectors were scrambling to try to figure out what to do, we were working as an organization to tell our franchises exactly what to do and then allowing them to implement those in their local markets. And the beauty of franchising is we learn from our franchisees as well. And so, during those initial weeks, especially of the pandemic, we held numerous webinars with our top franchises and how they were dealing with the pandemic, how they were protecting their clients and their agents. And you hit the nail right on the head when you said the team is quicker. And so sending in that team of inspectors allows that inspection to be done more quickly, which means the sellers have less likelihood of somebody in their home for as much time, and the buyers can get through the process more quickly as well. So the team really proved as a huge benefit in this industry during COVID.
So let's talk a little bit about franchisees and potential franchisees. What is the profile for somebody who is a good HomeTeam candidate?
So an ideal HomeTeam candidate is basically a motivated self-starter with leadership capabilities and very strong interpersonal communication skills. This person is going to be able to network and build relationships with real estate professionals. And bottom line, they're going to work hard and they're going to follow a proven HomeTeam plan. When we look for franchise owners, we're not looking for people that necessarily want to be a home inspector. We're looking for individuals that want to build a successful business around home inspections. And so because we can offer the training and the processes, the softwares, et cetera, to basically align home inspection skills with somebody that's willing to put the effort in and to learn them, we'd much rather look for people with business acumen, with proven skills and personalities that can really grow that business. Because our average franchise owner is not looking to open a home inspection business and be a home inspector. Their goal is to open that home inspection business, learn the role of the home inspector, and then expand to multiple teams and run a successful business of multi-team inspections, throughout their territory.
So now, is it difficult to identify a home inspector, the people that are actually going into the homes? Is that a difficult person to find and recruit?
So again, because home inspectors are following a very specific skill set that is focused on observation and not necessarily the intricate knowledge of every single component within the home, we have a very specific ideal candidate snapshot that our franchises use to find home inspectors. Yes, they work with home inspection schools and other processes that are basically attracting people that want to be home inspectors. But ideally, they're also looking for people that have those interpersonal skills, those ability to not only inspect the home, but to describe the home in a non-alarmist format so that realtors and clients alike can see the benefits of the home alongside any concerns that might come up in the home inspection as well.
So those softer skills, those people skills are just as important as the technical?
Yes, I believe they're very much equally important because the technical skills are definitely something that, not the average person would have. So you have to find the right people to learn those technical skills or to strengthen those technical skills. But the interpersonal skills are much harder to teach. And so finding the right person that knows how to go through the methodology and knows how to explain a situation is more important than having somebody that maybe has a very in-depth knowledge of one component of the home. Maybe he's a former plumber, former HVAC technician, but he has no ability to describe what he finds in the home to a client or to a realtor during that during that inspection process.
So now for the franchisee, is this something that's a good kind of, maybe I retired, now I'm looking for this other adventure, maybe a second act, or I'm going to do this with my spouse. Is that a good candidate?
So it depends on the situation. Many times we bring in individuals that have had a successful career in business, and they're looking for kind of that next step in their future planning as far as retirement. They're looking for what can I do over the next 10 plus years that's going to build something that I can either continue to run as the owner and have residual income, or something that I can build over 10 years and then sell and then move into retirement. The average individual that's looking at a HomeTeam franchise is somewhere between 40 and early 50s. And so that might answer your question a little bit. But basically, they're looking at somebody that's already been successful in business or in something else. And this is kind of the next step of building themselves something for themselves. Usually it's somebody that's worked for a company or worked for a series of companies, and they're wanting to build something that they can have ownership of and that they can, be more involved in the actual success of the company.
But not necessarily the person that worked, kind of with their hands or as a handyman or things like that. They could have come from a corporate environment and still be successful on HomeTeam.
Yes, some of our most successful franchise owners did not have any experience in the home market. An interest in real estate, being handy. These are things that, of course, are very important for a prospective owner. But actually having specific home construction background, et cetera, is not only unnecessary, but does not make up the majority of our franchise owners.
Well, tell us a little bit about this 1,000 inspection club within HomeTeam, and how did some of your franchisees achieve that? It sounds like a pretty big milestone.
It really is a big milestone, especially when you understand that the average home inspector across the country does less than 200 inspections a year. So as you can imagine, to get to 1,000 or more inspections a year, you have to have not only a team of inspectors, but multiple teams of inspectors. And so it is definitely a goal for our franchise owners as they open up their business to get to that 1,000 plus inspection club. And they have to follow a very focused plan in order to get to that. But it is something that is achievable, and it is something that's achievable within the first few years of their business, as long as they follow the HomeTeam plan. Basically what they're doing is they're building, like any business, from that first relationship with that first agent and that first call from that first client, and then building the rapport with agents, building basically the referral sources from clients that start to propel that word of mouth type of advertising, in conjunction with continuing to build more and more relationships with real estate agents. And as the years progress, and they build those additional teams, with each team doing somewhere between the 400 and 500 inspection mark, it allows them to get to that 1,000 plus inspection club, basically after having 2 full-time teams of inspectors.
It's an interesting concept because the homeowner is the one, I guess, that is using the service or benefiting from the service, but the relationship with the real estate agent is kind of the linchpin relationship, right? Because that's the gift that keeps on giving if you have enough of those right relationships with real estate professionals.
Exactly. Real estate relationships are important to HomeTeam because realtors are the integral component of the real estate transaction. The buyers trust their agents to assist them during a complicated process of buying and selling a home. And then a critical part of buying a home is the home inspection, because buyers need to know the current condition of the home prior to moving forward with the purchase. So agents know that when they recommend a home inspection from HomeTeam, they're going to get a professional, reliable partner who works with them to help their clients clearly understand the home inspection process as well as the inspection reports. And so clients are, of course, involved in that process of choosing HomeTeam, but they trust their agents to give them recommendations of a home inspection company that's going to give them what they need during that process.
So you're kind of, you want to be friends with everybody in that ecosystem, the closing attorney, everybody that touches the real estate transaction. You want to be kind of a good kind of service provider for all of them, right?
That's the way that the home inspector should be perceived. Too often home inspectors pride themselves in convincing clients that homes are not the ones that they should purchase. And too often a client might turn away from a home because of a home inspector that just didn't clarify what they found in the home. It's easy to be an alarmist. It's easy to go into a home and start pointing critical things out, and all of a sudden you've ruined the home for that potential buyer. When in reality, any issue that's found in a normal home, and all homes have issues, there is no perfect home, can either be corrected or it can be negotiated as part of that home inspection process. And so what HomeTeam does in their non-alarming process is they give a very clear context of the home. They explain things that are there. They don't pull any punches, but they do it in a way that doesn't scare the clients and allows that process to move forward. And that's really one of the big things that differentiates HomeTeam, in addition to, of course, the team concept, which we've mentioned several times now.
So now what does the future look like for you guys? Are you just growing like crazy? I would imagine it, like you said, there's this upswing on real estate transactions and refinancing and things like that. So I would imagine that you're pretty busy now. Is kind of people coming out of the woodwork to be franchisees?
Yeah, in reality, the future is very bright for HomeTeam. We are in the process of opening new franchise locations in numerous states, including Florida, Georgia, Virginia, New York, and Texas. Our goal is to actually open 30 new locations in 2021, and we focused on some top markets in the Western United States, including Washington and Texas, Arizona, and New Mexico. Revenues are already up 20% over 2020. And our HomeTeam locations are adding teams of inspectors to keep up with that demand that you just mentioned. Low interest rates and a good economy, even as we've continued to deal with COVID, has allowed the real estate industry to be very strong. If anything, the inventory is actually low right now because there's not enough homes, on the market. But as the busy season of the spring and summer come to fruition and more people start to put their homes up for sale, that's going to strengthen this market as well. And that really differentiates HomeTeam between a single inspector and a team of inspectors, because keep in mind, if you're a single inspector during the summer months, you're so busy that you can't get to that home inspection for that client or for that realtor for sometimes several weeks. And with HomeTeam bringing those teams of inspectors, they can do more inspections per day. And so in most cases, even in the busiest times of the year, they can book that inspection within 48 to 72 hours of the request. And that really allows HomeTeam to meet a need in a very competitive industry.
Well, congratulations on all the success. If somebody wants to learn more about HomeTeam, is there a website for potential franchisees?
There sure is. So consumers can go to hometeam.com, as can real estate agents. And if you're interested in being a potential franchisee, you can go to hometeamfranchise.com.
Well, Adam, thank you again for sharing your story. You're doing important work, and we appreciate you.
Well, it's great to meet you, Lee. I appreciate your questions, and I hope I was able to answer them in a way that helps your audience.
You did a great job. And this is going to be it for today's episode of Franchise Marketing Radio. This is Lee Cantor. We'll see you all next time on Franchise Marketing Radio.